Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. My privilege today to look at a very interesting book at a time of change, and I'm mentioning Brexit immediately. I have to, but because it's not directly relevant, but it is very pertinent, I think, because of the timing. This book has just come out and I'm reviewing it in the beginning of 2019 as we prepare to leave Europe. It's called Industrial Policy and the World Trade Organization: Between Legal Constraints and Flexibilities. It's been written by a professor, Professor Sherzod Shadikhodjaev. I hope again I pronounced the name correctly. Probably haven't, but never mind. Very, very learned gentleman, and the details are on the back of the book. I'll show you those in a minute. So this comes to us from Cambridge University, CUP. It's part of the International Trade and Economic Law series, and very helpful, I think, too, because it's helpful for quite a range of disciplines. Now, I've given the title, I've been a bit political here, given it the title Industrial Approaches to WTO Policy Post-Brexit, an important book for 2019 with UK leaving the EU. Let's look at the book first of all. There's the front page, there, the front cover rather, there. There's the spine, and then there's the back. Now you can see that the professor is actually at the KDI School of Public Policy and Management. That's in Korea. There's the book anyway. Let's look at the back of it. There's the index. You can see the index. Very much in the house style of Cambridge University Press by page numbering. Quite a lot of detail in the index there. Then you've got bibliography. Very helpful. If I go to the front of the book, we've got right at the front, this is the blurb, and I borrowed some of the blurb for the review, just because people may not know what's in the book. This is the books in the series. This is the International Trade and Economic Law series of books. Cambridge produce a lot of really first-class, outstanding works. I'm biased, obviously, because I like the University of Cambridge, but they do produce a huge amount of important information for us. There's a dedication. I always show the dedications because a lot of work goes into these books. I will not review books which I don't think much of. I only review books which I think are excellent, because otherwise I'm criticising people, and I don't think they should be criticised. If the book's no good, it's best to just leave it. We all have our off days, you know, but this is not an off day. There's the content section in parts, part 1, and then part 2, you've got those. And you've got a total of 7 chapters, then a conclusion at the end, a bibliography and an index. And then there's some figures as well, which are produced. There's a foreword, tables and a foreword. I haven't mentioned much about the foreword. Obviously, the foreword is written by Petros Mavroidis, who is Professor of Law at Columbia Law School in New York. It basically sets out what is happening at the moment with the digital revolution, and basically looking at policy to a certain extent. And then you've got acknowledgements after that. Then you've got table of cases and so forth by country. You can see the way it's actually structured there. Again, this is basically adjudications of one sort or another. Again, quite important. It's set out in a different way from what we as lawyers are normally used to. There's some EU case materials there. Then you've got abbreviations. Quite helpful, because when you've got the WTO, World Trade Organization, right at the bottom, you've got all the abbreviations to go with it. Very, very helpful too, because one can forget what some of the abbreviations are. Then the introduction, well worth reading, a little quote from various people at the beginning, and talking about industrial revolutions to set the scene, and it runs through that way. And you can see there are tables, and then you can see there is footnoting. There's not paragraph numbering as such, but there is subheadings, and you've got the footnoting. Very interesting book, and came to me just at the right time, because I thought, well, this is a subject we really do need to know more about, bearing in mind what is happening. So, as I say, just the right time for you. If ever there was an important statement on policy for the committed Brexiteer, of which I am not one, then this brilliantly researched book by Professor Shadikhodjaev is therefore just for you. As I say, I do apologise. I can't quite master the surname here. It might, of course, not the surname but the book, even change your mind if you're a Brexiteer about what's going on. I doubt it, though, very much. However, I think it sets the scene in terms of industrial policy, so it's politically interesting, economically interesting, and legally interesting. And what the professor says is this. He says, the severe global financial crisis of 2008, I'm adding here no convictions, could not be overcome without government interventions through industrial policy. That's a very clear, outstanding statement right at the beginning, because we consider that the book has arrived at a crucial time, offering us an analysis of industrial policy from the perspectives of trade law and economics under the WTO system, which we may well be faced with after the 29th of March 2019 if we don't leave with the deal. And the author therefore expertly examines both general tools of protecting and supporting domestic producers and specific topics like special economic zones, localization, greening measures and creative economy. Again, we are drifting into three different areas: politics, economics and law. And in addition, of course, to legal texts and the jurisprudence outlined here, the book, in my view, extensively utilises other World Trade Organization materials to show what is discussed in WTO meetings and forums on relevant issues. The content which many readers will not be too familiar with or informed about here is because it gives a new approach to the role of the World Trade Organization for those who are not well informed as to what they do. That is probably a large part of the British public to start with, who have voted Brexit and don't realise what World Trade Organization terms are for trading and how it could affect certainly the pound in your pocket, if I can use that expression. Probably not. Where it becomes applicable then, the author advances practical recommendations for right or optimal industrial policy in certain contexts based on trade rules, case law and some countries' real experiences. Again, I think that's valuable help for the government of the day, perhaps. And the author concludes this work with some thoughts on concrete actions to be taken at the World Trade Organization and at national levels and in academic circles in order to tackle industrial policy issues in a better way, a better fashion. And in short, it gives us a special insight into what the UK may well face in the summer of 2019 onwards. Now, the title is part of the Cambridge University Press's International Trade and Economic Law series. It's a very substantial series, as you can see, what I showed you earlier on. It's a series of books giving the reader a thoughtful, intellectual approach, in my view, to current trading atmosphere, the current trading atmosphere which economists and lawyers face, with the challenges a post-Brexit world is going to offer us all. And therefore I think it's a very timely book. That's of course if Article 50 is implemented. And the book of course was published on the 8th of November 2018, and we've had an awful lot of kerfuffle in the Westminster Parliament even since then. And as I record this at the beginning of January, I do not know what is going to happen next, but I thought this book was well worth looking at. Here it is again. There's the front, there's the spine, and then there's the back. There's a lot of detail in this book, and I thought it was very interesting. Legality of the LCRs on that. This is local content requirements under World Trade Organization rules. You see the structure of the book. There is footnoted, not overdone, which I thought was good. You've got concluding remarks at the end of each chapter, which I think helps. You do have tables. That's really why I think it's of help to a certain extent, not just to lawyers, but to a range of different people. The greening of industrial policy, big issue, not going to go away, going to get much bigger as we go forward. And right at the front, let me just remind you, that is the series of books. Lots and lots of them. And very helpful they are too, depending on what you are studying for your undergraduate degree or even your postgraduate studies. A very big thank you to the author, the professor, and of course to CUP for producing this excellent work. It helps all of us in our own areas of activity, whether it be academic or practitioner, or political for that matter, to get to grips with this decision that's been made and what we do in the aftermath. Thank you to all. Bye-bye.